Hello, my name is LoG and welcome to Quickies number 16, where I show you something that I think is cool in 5 minutes or less. Today we're going to talk about taking a tricky chord change and simplifying it into something that might be visually or physically easier to play or find on the fretboard. So today, as an example, we're going to use the chorus of Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder, because there's two chord changes that are really one chord change that's a little tricky if you're not used to it. And it's the first two chords of that chorus. So the chorus starts on B or B major 7, whichever one you want to play, F minor right after that. Then everything else is pretty normal. E major 7, D sharp minor, C sharp minor, F sharp sus. So all of those chords are pretty standard except for the F minor. The F minor definitely comes out of nowhere, and it's definitely not in the key. Not only is it not in the key, but the root movement is a little tricky because it's a tritone up from the chord you're coming from. You're coming from B major and then F minor. That's a tritone up minor. It might be a little strange if you're not used to it. So of course it's really great to just simply be able to play over that change. There's nothing wrong with that. You should be able to do that. But it's also kind of nice to have some other options that you can think about if you get lost, or if you just want some variety in your playing. So that's what we're going to do today, go over how to find these options. So the main idea is using the concept of pretend chords. Knowing you have a chord, let's say F minor, but knowing a bunch of other chords that you can pretend are happening that work perfectly over that particular chord. Every chord has a slew of these pretend chords, as I call them, and it's important for you to try to learn them, find them, memorize them, know when they're useful, and know when maybe to back off a little bit. So we're going to go through some really easy ones today. Let's start with playing just these two chords, B major, F minor. So we're going to keep the B for now. We're going to find something different that we can play over the F minor. Easiest pretend chord that you can ever play over a minor chord is the relative major. So if F minor is our main chord, the relative major is always major on its third. Where is its third? Right there. It's flat 3 because we're playing minor, of course. So we would play major right here. This is A flat, so during the F minor, we can solo A flat major, major 7, whatever we want to play as long as it's major. Well, how does that fit into the progression? We are originally playing B major 7, and now we can play A flat major 7. That might be a little bit easier. Both major sounds, and they're only 3 frets apart, so our eyes can see that change maybe a little bit easier. Here's the B, there's the A flat. And I can play the same licks, right? So here's a little lick over B major 7. Here's the same lick over A flat. Now if I play that over the changes, you'll notice it still sounds like I'm playing right along with those changes, but I'm thinking not B major, F minor. I'm thinking B major and then A flat major. Same lick, watch this. Right? Fits perfectly. Even though I'm not thinking about F minor, the sound that I'm playing works over F minor, and I know that, and I can make that change whenever I want. So let's take it one step further, make it even easier. So we found F minor's relative major. Why don't we do the opposite for the B chord, the first one, B major? Let's find its relative minor. What would that be? So if this is 1, relative minor is always on 6. 1, 7, 6. A flat or G sharp in this case. I'm going to call it A flat for continuity's sake. Well, look at that. Same root that we just figured out earlier, except now we're playing minor. So we just took the two chords, B major 7, F minor, broke them down to A flat minor, and then A flat major. How easy is that? It's the same root, and we don't even have to move kind of where our hands are or where the root is. All we have to do is change from minor to major, and we're going to lock onto this sound. Now, of course, my ear is still guiding me through it, making sure I land on the chord tones of the sounds that are actually happening, but my eyes and my brain can think about these other things because it's a little bit easier maybe in the moment to find these sounds. So I'm going to play something really simple, A flat minor, during the B, and you'll notice what it sounds like. Okay, and then A flat major, same sound but major. Right? I can do that over these changes because I figured out that those are related sounds. Those are sounds that I can pretend are happening even though they are not happening. So what are some other ones? How about let's go back to playing normal B, because that's a nice sound, B major 7, And then over the F minor, instead of doing that, let's find a different pretend chord. Well, this one is kind of stacked on top of the one that we just found. So remember what we just found. We were playing F minor, we realized we could play A flat major over that, but what's a pretend chord of the pretend chord, like we're stacking on top of each other? If this is major, I can go up to its 3, play whatever that would be. This would be C minor. So I can play C minor over the F minor and it will achieve a very similar sound. That one is pretty easy to play too, because where are we coming from? We're coming from B major, the actual chord, the first chord, and then C minor. Very easy to play, just up a fret minor. So we're playing major, and then we move to C minor. And that's all very simple to find because it's visually very easy to connect. So all you really need to do is look at a chord that you're playing, look for all of the connected sounds, and just practice those instead of the actual chord. Instead of actually practicing B to F minor, practice B to C minor. It's an easier change, something else that might be easier for your fingers to grab. Let's do one more. Instead of playing B major 7, we can play its classic up a third pretend chord. So here's B. That's D sharp or E flat. I'm going to call it E flat for now. We play that minor. So that means I can play this minor. Well, check it out. If I'm playing this minor, where's the F minor, the next chord? Up a whole step. That's very easy to play. So over these changes, I can play E flat minor, F minor. That's very easy to play because there's just a whole step apart. So you see what we're doing right here. We're taking a progression that might otherwise be a little tricky, finding related, connected pretend chords, as I call them, and practicing those instead. And once you cycle through a whole bunch of them, you'll have like a ton of different ideas that you can play over this change, and everything will be way more comfortable. So we're gonna wrap up this video. I just kind of noodle around over the changes, and I am running through a couple different ones, so you'll see on the screen the actual chord progression, and then you'll see on top what I'm thinking at that moment. And you'll notice the sounds always sound pretty uniform because I'm not necessarily accessing a bunch of wildly different sounds. It's just a different mindset for me to get to the sounds that definitely work over the changes. So the sounds aren't necessarily different. It's what I'm thinking about and what I'm physically looking for on the fretboard. So I hope this stuff makes sense. See you in the next one.